In my coaching program, one of the very first things that I work on with people is what I like to call telling your truths. Telling your truths is all about being insanely honest with yourself about exactly where you are when you are starting to work on your grief journey with me. We use that as kind of a baseline to see where you are so we know how to move forward and what our starting point is. Today, what I want to talk to you about are 4 different ways that you might be sabotaging yourself from being able to move forward in your grief journey. So what I want you to do is just take a really good hard listen to these and then be honest with yourself if you might be doing any of these particular sabotages to your grief journey.
Sabotage.
All right, so the first way that you might be sabotaging your own grieving process is by suppressing your emotions instead of feeling them. So you hear it all the time in grief, people saying the only way out is through, but it could not be more true. So one way that you might be sabotaging yourself is by not working through those feelings. If you are not feeling your feelings and you're not being honest with yourself about actually giving yourself time to grieve without doing things like taking numbing medications or relying on alcohol or drugs or working too hard, over distracting yourself so that you don't have to deal with your feelings, you need to take an honest look at yourself and see if those are ways that you might be sabotaging yourself from actually feeling the feelings that you need to feel in order to move forward in the grief process. All right, my next tip is one that might hit some people kind of hard and it might seem kind of harsh, but it is a way that I have seen people self-sabotage themselves over and over during grief. So this is what I like to call the sabotage of self-victimization. What this entails is when someone actually enjoys being the victim. Because of your grief, maybe you get used to the feeling of people always pitying you or feeling sorry for you, or you might love that extra attention that you get from being the victim of some sort of tragedy or grief.
That's harsh.
Again, kind of harsh, kind of hard to face, but some people really do get kind of addicted to that attention that they get, to people checking up on them, checking in, bringing them meals, seeing what other people can do for you. And sometimes it becomes difficult to let go of that attention and move forward by letting people know that you're doing better. So those people get stuck kind of playing the victim. All right, the next way that you might be sabotaging yourself is feeling guilt for moving on. I myself know that I struggle with this one. So this is when you feel like you shouldn't move on because it's either too soon or you feel like you're betraying the loved one that you lost if you do move on, like it's somehow hurting them, or how if somehow they could see that you're starting to actually feel joy or actually be productive in your life, that it's somehow a betrayal to them and they would be upset. There are so many people that feel this way, whether you've lost a child like I have, whether you've lost a parent and you feel like you shouldn't get over losing your parent, or if you feel like if you lost a spouse, like you're somehow betraying your spouse. If you get to the point where you want to start looking for someone else to love because you're lonely and you have so much love to give. So many people sabotage themselves with that guilt, and it kind of holds them back from being able to move forward because they don't want to feel like they would be hurting the person that they lost. All right, before I move on, I would just like to ask that if you are finding this video helpful, or if you see yourself in any of these ways that you might be sabotaging your grief, if you could hit the like button and just let me know that you're resonating with the content of the video. That way other people get more of a chance to see the content that I'm producing. I would really, really appreciate it. So if you could hit that like button, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. And the other thing that I wanted to mention too, I said at the beginning that in my coaching program, this is kind of what I work with people on. If you might be interested in working with me one-on-one, I encourage you to click the link in the description to get more information about that, or you can visit my website at grievingmommy.com. Okay, now back to our next tip. All right, so the next way that you might be sabotaging yourself is by worrying excessively about what other people think. There are a lot of grieving people that are afraid to move on because they're worried that they're going to be judged by other people. This is so, so common. So if that's you, totally normal. All of these are totally normal. But this one especially, I find that people who are in grief, it's like they want to get their shit together, but they're scared that if they look like they have their shit together, that other people are going to think poorly of them. Like if you lost your spouse, but you are ready to start dating again, people get so worried that other people are going to see them and be like, oh, well, they must be over their loved one dying because they're moving on and finding someone new. Or in my example, if you've lost your child and you are starting to go hang out with friends and do some social things and you're back at work and, people see you laughing at a restaurant, I've been there myself where you get paranoid looking around like, oh my gosh, are people going to think that I'm not sad enough? Are people going to think that I'm over the fact that I lost my daughter? No, I'm obviously not. You can't be afraid to move forward in your grieving process just because you're afraid of what other people think. Who cares what other people think? This is your grief journey.
Screw them.
Yeah, screw them.
I know that it is easier said than done. But if you see any of these 4 ways to sabotage yourself in yourself, if you feel like you're doing any of these, the very first step is just recognizing that you are. That is a huge first step, just to admit that, yes, I am sabotaging my own grief journey. I'm holding myself back. And then making the decision that you don't want to do that anymore and you want to move forward. All right. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you would like to watch another video with some grief tips and help for you, I will leave that up here. And then I will also leave a playlist for you to check out with all of my grief and loss videos for you to watch. Until next time, as always, sending love and hugs, and I'll see you guys later.